Hi, this is Linda again, and I'm here to talk to you a little bit this time about the big T trauma. What is the big T versus the little t? Big T trauma is one that most people recognize as a big event. Although it's still subject to interpretation, meaning that one person may not determine trauma the same way another person does. But when you find that circumstances in life are so overwhelming that they consume your thinking, you can be pretty certain that you've experienced trauma. In fact, intrusive thoughts and intrusive images may pop into your mind without any warning at all. It's like, where did that come from? And once those images happen, it's often difficult to dissuade them from occupying too much space. Trauma happens when the emotional impact of an event continues to be experienced each time the memory is experienced. So, for example, I'm going to give you some questions here so you can understand what I'm talking about. I'm sure some of you that are listening to this, or maybe all of you, because you're listening to it at all, have experienced trauma. So you're going, yeah, I get that. But it's pretty interesting because there are times when we have no idea we have, even as I explained in the ACEs in the last blog post. Number one, was the event life-threatening or even just perceived to be life-threatening? Number two, do you have reoccurring dreams or intrusive thoughts or images about the event? Three, do you express distress when you experience something that just reminds you of the event? For example, the stop sign where there was an accident, where you'd been involved in an accident. Sometimes just that stop sign will be enough. Four, are your thoughts or moods suddenly altered, inability to remember the important parts of the event, or negative beliefs about yourself persist since the event? Number five, how much effort do you place in avoiding reminders, such as the people that were involved, such as the place or the places, or anything about the event? If you see any kind of reminder, do you go out of your way to avoid them? Number six is feel less interested in activities that you used to enjoy, or are you feeling detached from others? It's kind of like you feel all alone in a group. Seven, are positive emotions difficult for you to come to? Number eight, are irritable moods and angry outbursts, such as verbal or physical aggression, happening since the event? In other words, you didn't do that kind of thing before. And number nine, is there difficulty with concentrating or exaggerated startle response or sleep? And number 10, does work or school seem harder or even impossible since the event? You're so distracted or you just can't stay focused long enough. So some examples of traumatic events, some are pretty easy to get. Car accident, meaning understand. Witnessing or involvement with lethal weapons. This is a biggie that most people don't get, but adoption is a big T trauma. For natural families, meaning the biological families where the child was before the adoption happened, to the adoptee themselves, and also to the adoptive families, because many times adoptive families have already experienced trauma through things such as infertility or loss of their biological children before they adopt. And so there's all kinds of trauma involved in the adoption triad. Rape or other aggravated assaults. And there's also emotional trauma, yelling, screaming, name-calling, and some people remember bullying since they can, remember starting school. These list the main events, but any event that changes how you believe about yourself in a negative way is trauma. Trauma distress increases without emotional support. So if the distress has been experienced for 2 or more weeks, seek professional therapy. In fact, if you had an event happen and it bothered you a lot, I wouldn't even wait the 2 weeks. I would do it. But there's a caution. The recurring thoughts and images may or may not start right after the event. So if the dreams, thoughts, images begin to appear even years after the event, it is legitimately traumatizing and it needs to be addressed. So this is your big T trauma, understanding of trauma. Please listen and hear, and call in, ask us questions, come make an appointment if you want to. 918-286-3278. And this is Linda Russ. I'll see you next month about another topic. Bye-bye.